Hello, hello, hello. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode, of course, of your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast or live stream, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I'm talking about All Knicked Up, where we bring you the latest and a mature, in my opinion, a mature discussion of our favorite basketball team, the New York Knicks. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Holzman. Let me bring on my other host, our other co-host, my co-host, Mr. Tyran Booker. What's up, brother Ty? What's going on?
What's going on? Let's get the maturity going on in here. That's what we need to do.
You know what? No disrespect to anyone else out there. Everyone who's doing their thing, congratulations to you. And I have no problem with what everyone else is doing, but I feel like we're of a certain age and we just bring a different feel and style to this.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from when I say that. I'm not being disrespectful to anybody out there. I don't want anyone to take it that way. I just feel like we bring a different, more mature vibe to the Knicks coverage that we see out there in the podcast sphere or the live stream sphere, whatever you want to call it. We bring a different touch. So everyone out there who's watching, of course, thanks for checking in with us. Hopefully, we entertain you for the next hour or so. We're going to be on for an hour tonight, just in time so we can drop before, of course, the Knicks play tonight against against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the return once again of Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Um, so yeah, it's kind of stale now, I guess, but they are still coming back. The Knicks are obviously the home team tonight in the midst of their 7 game homestand, which is where I actually want to start tonight because apparently for the Knicks, home cooking tastes better.
Yes,
The
sir.
Knicks are 4-3. All 4 wins are at home, and all 3 losses are on the road. So they say, and as long as you can hold serve at home and then get some beat up on the teams on the road that you should beat,
hmm
you're usually going to come out with a good season. So Ty, what in the early season, what do you think the reason for that is? Why do you think they're playing better at home?
Well, I think it's got a lot to do with role players. Role players actually play better at home. The Knicks are relying on their role players. I think when you notice that there's a little bit of sufferance on the road because of the cliche, the role players do not play great on the road. That's when your superstars have to show up, and you're so reliant on those superstars. And as we've known, and I should say, as we've seen, some of our superstars have been a little bit beat up. Maybe not ready to go some nights. And the temperature of the team on the road is that the actual stars set the precedent, and we've had some hiccups with our little star power. I would say, they're not thriving and doing as well as they should be, and but we're noticing at home is a different thing even for them. So I just think it has a lot to do with the depth of the Knicks that they're so relying on, and going on the road, you got to have some cojones to play on the road and actually be elite. So.
Yeah, so one of those stars, obviously you talked about, is Karl Anthony Towns, and I'll just give his splits right now from home and away, and you can see right there the big difference. So
Mm-hmm.
especially scoring wise, at home so far, Towns is playing an average of 33 minutes, sorry, averaging 25 points and 13 rebounds and 4 assists, which I mean that's kind of what he does. That's kind of, if you looked at the back of his basketball card, that's probably what you would see. However, on the road, his points per game drops almost a full 10 points so far this season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's like he's not the only one. Everyone, pretty much, if you look down the list, you'll see outside of Brunson, who's actually been better on the road. So to Ty's point, your stars supposed to elevate on the road. There you go. Brunson is doing his part, but yeah, away for Brunson, he's averaging 34 points um, and 6 assists, and at home he's averaging 25 points and 6 assists. So yeah, so the points per game goes up on the road. So, but you can see why, obviously, to Ty's point as well, the role players have been much better at home. Jordan Clarkson, to lead the list, has been much better at home. Um, Josh Hart, much better at home. So those are two of their key players, their key bench players, and they've been better at home. So it's always an interesting stat for me to look at and see when I see that because I'm kind of like, court's the same, the basket's the same height. Like I know the fans, they say obviously there's a fan element to this, so I'm sure that does change things. And yes, when you're home, you're sleeping in your own bed, you're eating your own food, you have your normal routine. But it's always shocking to me the discrepancies, those kinds of discrepancies, especially with some guys when you see them
Mhm.
home and away. So the first place I want to go, speaking of food, since I brought up food, um, so the Knicks' big free agent signing was Ersan Yabusele. I think that's the guy. When the Knicks signed him, everyone was kind of happy and said, "Oh, they have a backup 4 or 5, kind of. He can play both positions. He's the guy that is going to be the one to back up, whether it's Mitch or Towns or wherever they would go. He would back up both of them. Right now, right now, he needs to back up the food truck because my man is wow. Outside of his weight, which we touched on before, he just hasn't looked good,
No.
and not just physically, but even with things like places I thought he would be able to produce, he hasn't even looked good. And it's an adjustment period. I get it, but what do you think the main reason is for this?
Well, this brings up something that I saw recently a couple days ago. It was an ode to I think this thing came out in the 80s or whatever. And they were showing things, nostalgic movie quotes from the 80s. And this is what I'm going to use for him, which is, I want the knife, please. But he's talking about food because he's that knife for food. If y'all know me, that's Golden Child. I want the knife, please. This dude is eating too damn much. I know people is telling me, I think it was Stephen Bondi who said that with his shirt off, he looks like, he has a physique, but you know what I always call him, Sir Mix-a-Lot. You can't deny it. That's all I'm saying. Y'all read the rest of the lyrics, you just can't deny it. He's got a caboose. And that caboose looks like it's weighing him down. You know what? I'm on the shore. There's some guys, the Rick Mahorns of the world, they had a caboose too. I'm gonna call it a caboose. If you want to say it in a French tone, a caboose. He has a caboose. This dude is carrying around too much damn weight. And that weight is affecting the mental weight in his head because he can't move that well. He doesn't have lateral quickness. You could see him like pawing at the ball because he can't move his feet. That's creating cheap fouls, him not being in the right place. You can see Mikal Bridges in one of the plays. He's like, you need to get back. Everybody's on him. And I think if you were to poll those guys privately and you could just pick their brains, they would probably say this dude is just damn well out of shape. And it's been an atrocity. And it's contributing to his low output. When we saw him in Philly, granted, you always got to take things with a grain of salt when you're a basketball fan. You realize Philly was not a great team and he was putting up good numbers on a bad team. So that's something you always got to account for. It's like now that the pressure is here, that jersey's heavy. Everybody shouldn't be playing in New York. It's just what it is. And probably more so what has happened is that he's come here. The expectations are obviously high. And now from those expectations, he's not able to compete at the level needed to show his worth and why they signed him to a 2. They used up their exemption basically on him, and say, he took a little discount. Well, maybe with this play, he should have took a bigger discount because now you're factoring and wondering who else could you have gotten if he came in and maybe he's injured, and I can give him that to a little bit to a degree, but in the same sense, that ain't got nothing to do with your arse. Your arse is huge. You got the caboose is weighing down the train right now, and I don't see how anyone. I wish Walt Frazier was actually doing more of the telecoms because I'm sure he would point that out in whatever charismatic way he normally talks. He would probably say this dude needs to lose some weight because you can't be we've seen it with Zion. We've seen it in the 80s where you were more allowed to be because the pace was a little bit more slowed down unless you were playing for the Lakers or Boston. There's a greater chance you're doing more half-court basketball where that might work. But you can't ask for this guy to be in elite shape and running down the court like Mike Brown is asking all of his players to do and you got a ton of fun behind you. That's just, I mean, whoever want to have fun with it, but I'm just saying it's a ton of fun that's trailing behind you. I feel bad watching him because I'm like, dude, this is not going to end well for you in New York. I don't know what to tell you because mentally you're not checked in. If he was showing a certain level of ferocity and he had to wait, then I think we'll see like, okay, but he's from France. We already know how that works in New York.
That's a good point. You do not have the best experience with French players.
I mean, you got a Frank Ntilikina voodoo doll, your damn self. How many times the Frederick Weisses and I'm a F. Fournier person, but people couldn't stand F. They couldn't stand him. So every French player outside of Diawara, I think is French, and wait, Pacone, you just haven't played enough, but wait for your turn. But these guys are obviously French players, but you're getting more into the Wimbyama kind of French players, and they're a little bit more, I'm going to say, Americanized or Westernized or whatever you want to say, knowing that they bring a certain kind of level of intensity to the game. But man, this is not good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really argue with anything you're saying. You watch him play, and even you could tell he's thinking too much too. Like he's thinking about where he needs to be on the floor. He's not just going and reacting to what's going on. And I don't know if the weight. I don't know if it's the reason is the weight, but the weight makes it look worse, right? Because it looks like he's struggling to get to the spot. So even if it's just a mental thing, like he's just not sure where to go yet, the weight makes it look like I don't know where to go yet, but I can't get there either. So that's really the problem I've seen with him, and just reluctance to do a lot of things that are supposed to come natural to a basketball player. He just looks like he's struggling and fighting for everything that he's getting out there, and to the point where he's not playing consistent minutes.
No.
He's not really like part of the consistent rotation. So for your big free agent signing, a guy who we all thought would be a big, boost to the team and something we needed because the bench has been an issue, especially getting points.
Yeah.
He has not been good at all. Like he's really, really been bad. Yeah, yes, it's just 7 games. I don't want to overreact too much. There's plenty of time for him to get acclimated and to get into shape and game shape and play. But man, first impressions mean a lot in this town, and he has not had a good one.
Big time.
Yep, it has not been fun to watch him. I'll just say it hasn't been fun to watch him, and he doesn't look like he's having fun either, which is another thing to consider. I hope he's not second guessing coming here because we all know if he turns it around, the fans will fall in love with him just as fast as they were shitting on him now. So
yeah, no, definitely, and we're not fat shaming. I'm a big dude.
No.
There's just rules to being big dudes, or big people. Like you don't wear white when you're big. I'm just telling you. People don't want to believe it.
He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. And then now he's in an all-white uniform. Look, I'm just trying to look. I'm talking from a love spot here.
Yes.
You're pain, but you get paid too much to be in this kind of pain. I don't get paid for that. You gotta. New Yorkers are noticing. Only thing we want big in New York is our football players. You don't want a big athlete that's a baseball player. Maybe get with CC Sabathia. You see how much weight he's lost. He was a pretty heavy set dude, and he's gotten into tremendous shape. He's not recognizable, to be honest, in a lot of ways. But you got to take your dieting very serious when you come here, because if you can't muscle like Barkley with weight in New York, this is gonna be bad. I'm already cringing about him. I think it's gonna be 2 years that might be very wasted.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely headed in that direction right now. But again, it's still early. We'll give him time.
Mm-hmm.
But another guy who is starting to come around.
Fast food Clarkson.
Yeah, fast food Clarkson, man. Like this guy. I mean, again, I know with him it could go the other way just as fast as it's going this way. So I don't overreact with how well he's playing. But he does seem to be playing a little bit more under control.
Yes.
does seem to be playing a little bit more within what they want him to do. He doesn't seem to. Now he still takes a couple shots a game. I'm like, what the hell was that? But he definitely seems to be embracing his role.
Yeah.
With the change in the rotations, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, this we both were like, good lord, what did we get in this guy? And it started out pretty bad the first couple games, but he's been playing pretty well since then. So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen with him as the season progresses? I guess that's what I want to know.
I think with the style of play that he's doing, I think we can look for New York fans that look at him like Emmanuel Quickly. I know he's older than Quickly, but the same role that Quickly was playing that New York fans I was not a fan of. But I'm just saying, in general, we're just talking about the consensus of what most people would feel. I think he's going to become a Garden favorite, especially if he knocks down those shots within the offense. And he comes in with great energy. He plays to the crowd. He definitely has the moxie to play here. This is like a huge bump if you can get this guy to play near this level most nights. And by meaning at this level, don't be a chuckaholic. It's okay if you take some of those shots. That a part of it's in your arsenal. We know you're going to bring some of these UFOs every once in a while. However, if you look like you're into winning, and that's the thing at first, I don't think he looked like he was even trying to win. I think he was trying to show he can score, and it wasn't winning basketball he was playing. But, he was out in Utah for a very long time. And, for a long time he was green lit coming off the bench or whatever. And, they weren't playing for anything spectacular. Definitely post Donovan Mitchell and post Rudy Gobert, they weren't playing for anything. So he was a lone, gunman out there. So I can understand you just getting your shots whenever and however you wanted to. But we don't need you to do any of that in New York right now. What we need you to do is come in and just be productive off the bench. Find the open man, something, you see him kind of work. It's a work in progress, don't get me wrong. There were some things I was like, oh, he's really trying to feed Towns. And how I know that, because the team that he's playing against knew it too. Because it's like, calm down, wait for the moment to happen, when and where to do things. I think that's some of the things that he's kind of still learning and learning, probably, which is kind of scary for NBA players when, they've only known one way of playing, which I think is just ridiculous. I can't, you got to think about it, from AAU to at least some sort of college you played to the professional league. You would think these guys would be more mentally sound on how to play basketball, but needless to say, that's not always the case. But if he keeps it up, he will be a favorite in the Garden, and he will be a huge contributor coming off the bench come playoff time, because that's where it's going to all count. It won't all of this preseason or regular season stuff. It does matter to get you into the playoffs, but his proving ground is going to be in the postseason, period.
Yeah, if he has a couple of those games where he's like 2 for 12 and not doing, we're gonna look back at saying, oh, he's playing well early in the season, and be like, who cares? So he's always been this type of player, so it's hard at this stage in the game to get a guy to change. He's not a young player, so it's hard to get someone at this stage to adjust and be something he's not. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, in a new system and learning the system, he's trying. Yeah. And that's what I'll say. He's trying, and he's getting results right now. Mm-hmm. And the more results you get playing this way, and if they keep winning, that gets in his head too. Mm-hmm. And then he'll say, okay, it's working, so let's keep going with it. So yeah, I'm very surprised how both of these guys have played. We just talked about Yabusele and Clarkson, because I would have thought it would be the other way around. Like,
we're in agreement. Yes.
I thought Yabusele would be the one who would be finding his groove, and Clarkson would be the one still searching. Funny how things work. It really is funny how things work, because this has been a surprise to me thus far. And I hope it continues, because the league now is still, in my estimation, a guards league. I know Jokic is great and Wembanyama is great, and I understand we have some really good big men in this league. But to me, it's a wing player, guard player type of league still. And if you get the more guys like that you have who can put points on the board, it's only going to help you as time goes on. So hope Jordan Clarkson keeps it up, because I can live with this version of him. I definitely can live with this version of him. So another guy um who we were kind of hard on, I think early on. Don't take, sorry, pause with that. That's not what I meant. We were kind of we were kind of yeah we were kind of skeptical about because of the injuries and stuff. Of course, I'm talking about Josh Hart
Mm.
and yeah, like Josh Hart. I don't know what happened. I felt like he was really struggling early on. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, like something flipped. Some light switch went off, and I don't know if it was just the rotation, the confidence in Brown's. Brown has said many times so far this season in press conferences he's still trying to figure out what combinations really work. So he's been changing around the rotation, trying to define roles a little bit better. And maybe that's all Hart needed to hear because the last 2 games he's been playing very well. He's been playing like the Josh Hart that we saw. Maybe the back spasms were still bothering him to start on the season when he first started playing. I have no idea, but I've really I've enjoyed watching him play because even him as well, like he's not doing a lot of the things I used to be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you forcing things that aren't there? Even he seems to be playing within a system.
Mhm.
So, what do you attribute that to? Because it's very surprising to me that it kind of just happened like that.
I really think it was a come to light skin Jesus moment for Josh Hart. And I can say that. I know Eric can't say it, but I can say it. What? But anyway, I literally think, and I know this might come to a surprise to most people because of how he always plays and he's very team oriented. I think Josh was pouting. I think there was a little pouting going on. I think him being here all these years, for the last, 2 or 3 years, clearly, I defend him all the time. I'm like, this dude leaves everything out on the floor. He's a Knick. He should probably retire a Knick. If things fall into place, I don't think nobody would argue about him retiring as a Knick because he's the antithesis of what we want in our athletes. With that being said, you have a coach coming in who has a philosophy clearly that's different than Thibodeau. Thibodeau spoiled Josh Hart. He played every minute he ever wanted to play. He would have to pull himself out of the game. So, it's like a child. You can't give child sugar and then tell them, oh, okay, now we're going to go back to, we're going to go Splenda now. And they're like, no. We started out with sugar. Let's keep the sugar rush going on. And being that he is a sugar eater with these Mike and Ike's, whatever the hell he eats, he's being fed. Because Josh, in a lot of ways, as much as he's an extremely competitive person, he's all man on the court, but he's very childlike in a lot of ways. He's very immature in certain ways. And I mean, I like it. I mean, I listen to him. I think he's funny as all hell on his podcast. So it's not about me wanting to be the adult in the room. He's probably never the adult in the room is what it is. And he probably has gotten used to being a certain way, the practices. He's not known as a great practice player. He's more of a Dennis Rodman type. He goes by the feel of the game, and he's a savant at doing what he does. And probably there's not a play you can write for him. That's what he is. I think coming in, you have a coach coming in now who's probably a lot like Thibodeau in certain ways. And in other ways, he's like, no, everybody deserves a shot. This is what we're going to do moving forward. Get on board, basically. We're taking practice serious. You need to focus in on what I'm saying detail-wise because this system is more detailed. Thibodeau allowed his guys to do whatever the hell they want to do on offense. It's just what it is. He didn't have a system. Now you're being asked to actually study something. You're being told to go sit in the corner if you don't want to participate. That's Mike Brown to Josh Hart now. And I think Josh Hart was, he had a lot of resistance about that. Granted, he might have not been feeling well, but I think it's an easy out to say, ooh, look at my finger, ooh, my back. And, I'm just not going to go out here and do what I normally do. You don't want me to be me. That's the way I'm kind of thinking that it was. And then he has mentioned, I think him and Mike Brown had a conversation. And that's what I'm stemming this information from, what I'm believing it to be, because he said him and Mike talked and he adjusted certain things mentally. So that to me is you had a come to light skin Jesus moment, although Jim Brown is brown. I think he had that moment where the coach said, hey, look, I think you're important. I know what you can bring, but bear with me. bear with me and let me rock out the way I need to rock out, and then you come in. And I think that's why we're seeing the Josh Hart of old, who is playing with a lot of fire right now. And it's because I think he's been told, relax, you'll be fine. We're going to be okay. Same thing he told Brunson. Told Brunson, relax. I'm going to let you loose, but we got to get this thing installed before we can let you loose. So that's the way I kind of think about Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think of it like that, but it makes sense. Like the way you just broke it down and explained it, it definitely makes sense that um he was kind of, like you said, pouting and a little bit upset with how he was being utilized, I guess, and not being able to play the whole 48 minutes and in overtime if they need to. Um, yeah, I definitely think there's something to that. And he did mention in a post game interview because they were asking him about Mike Brown, and he said, he's a great person, very approachable,
Mm-hmm.
easy to talk to, which is good because that makes me think that they did, like you said, they did have a discussion about what exactly it is he wants from him, and he made it clear. And now I think we're starting to see that. It's a crazy concept, and I said this was an issue Thibodeau had with guys not knowing their role.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing Mike Brown communicate exactly the role he wants from certain players.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, yeah, there might be a little friction in the beginning when they're trying to figure it out, but you also can see the benefits of it when they do finally get it. And of course, the person I'm talking to mostly about this is Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know what catnip he ate because the last couple of games after the Milwaukee game, and he admitted after it, he said, "You know what? I'm in my head. I was trying to force things too much. I'm trying to, force it, not letting the game come to him, not playing in the role that they want him to play." And since he started doing that, he's looked fantastic. I mean, he's been great. He's looked like the old cat. And I say this all the time. While Brunson might be their best player, Towns is their most talented player. I don't think that's an argument that anyone would fight me on. So he is so important to what this team is doing and how far they can get. And I actually thought it would take a little bit longer. I really did. I thought this would go on for like a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened or what adjustments they made or how he figured it out so quickly. But I do think it's something to what I just said. I think Brown finally sat him down, like, look, this is what we want from you.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we need you to play. And I think once that happened, I think he just opened up his game. So
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Well, I think that was a come to Dominican Jesus moment for him. We're going to be on Jesus today.
Jesus is right now. We got Jesus covered.
Multi platform here. We got to definitely talk about every religion, but needless to say. I think this is also, like I said, a come to Dominican Jesus moment for Towns. I think both these guys, I mean, it goes to show you that both of these guys seem to click at the same time. So there's some sort of communication disconnect, with Towns probably not feeling wanted in these kind of situations. He is an offensive person. He's a juggernaut on offense. This is what feeds his beast. You want him competing on the other end, like most New Yorkers obviously do want him to show some sort of resistance. Then you got to allow him to score. You got to let him touch the ball because some people their defense is directly affected by their offense. And he is an offensive talent. We didn't bring Karl-Anthony Towns here to be Dikembe Mutombo, recipes to Dikembe. He's not that dude. He's not going to lock down a defender like that unless it's like another play. I mean, he's capable of being a one-on-one defender, but it's like the type of level defense that New Yorkers probably want from him. You're playing yourself. You're not getting that from him. What you want to do is see that he's actually giving an effort and he's showing, and that he's thinking in the right way when he's reading an offense on how to defend it. He's not engaged. You can tell when he's not engaged. We saw a man who was completely engaged, who came out and was like, oh, if you doubted what I was, if you ever doubted who I was, I'm going to go out here and bruise this young dude. And I'm going to obliterate all of Washington. And that is the, as you eloquently put one time to a football player is just the tip. See, he's just the tip person because when you start looking at Karl-Anthony Towns in that Washington game, you're like, oh my damn, we can run people off the gym when he's doing that because Brunson had an off night. And he was how many off nights from Brunson? Not many are going to come. Unless even when he's injured, it's just you don't have off nights with Jalen. So if he's locked in and Towns is locked in like he was, going down in the paint, just like, I'm going to obliterate whoever tries to guard me. The Knicks are in some teams in the league are in some serious problems because you got two unstoppable dudes on offense. They're just unstoppable because nobody's checking Brunson. You can limit him for a little while, with his deprived height, not great quickness, but after a while he's going to unlock the door and get into where he wants to get into. Same thing when Towns is engaged like he did against Sarr. He was just like, it's like Sarr stole his lunch money or something. He's like, no, I'm coming. I'm gonna destroy your whole career right now. And the dude was backing him down and dunking. I'm like, where this dude at? Like, this is the dude. If this dude ever shows up for a whole season going into the postseason, man, you don't need nothing but those two dudes and make the other dudes just do what they normally do. He's just an unstoppable force. Karl-Anthony Towns, I can't say that he's my favorite player, but it's because of the things that we saw against Washington. I'm like, well, he'd be my favorite player if he played like that all the time because that's exactly what you need is just to show that effort because he's a Sasquatch. This dude is – I don't think people know how big this dude is. It's like he can't play a game of finesse completely, even though he's very talented at doing that. But it's like imagine if you mix both of those things in, both those cakes together. You're getting a beautiful dessert because this dude can now not only kill you on the perimeter, he's like, no, I'm going to back you all the way down. I'm going to dunk on you. And those were some nasty snatches because it's not like he jumps up high. He's got to put those kind of dunks on you. So it's physicality to just get him even that little bit of a lateral leap. So you watch it, you're like, oh, man, New Yorkers will go nuts if you keep doing that. They'll be all behind you. So that to me is what I just see that you got a guy who finally got engaged on the offensive end, and he's told that he's just as important as he knows he is. And I just think these guys, they got big egos. I think people think that these guys are like walking around, Brunson, all these, they got egos. So you got to make sure you talk to them nicely because if not, they'll check out on you and you'll lose your job. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and you see a little bit of even them two now working a pick and roll. Like you're seeing little bits of glimpses of that with Towns and Brunson, which we didn't see nearly enough last year. I wish we would have seen more of it. Oh, you're seeing a little bit of that. I do agree with you. Like Towns definitely does seem like the type of guy who needs to know he's needed and wanted. And once they told, like once Brown was like, hey, you've accomplished a ton in this league already. That's the player we need. And, use your entire bag. Use your post-up game. Use your perimeter game. Use your three-point shot. Like, you can do all of it. So I think he needed to hear that because I think there was too much made about, well, what's my role in this new system? Like, am I constantly going to be on the move? Am I going to get opportunities in the post? Am I going to get opportunities one-on-one? Like, what exactly am I going to be doing? And you can see it too, because in that game against Washington, even defensively, he was good. He played a really good defensive game. Now he's never going to be the most laterally quick guy. We know that, but the compete level on defense for him was very high in that game.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, like, he's the key to the season. To me, he is the key to the season. If he plays at his all-star level that we know he can play at, the Knicks can definitely win a championship this year. And that's something I actually want to talk about because I'm hearing a lot of these talking heads and these people really going at this guy again and saying, oh, the Knicks can't win with him. Oh, the Knicks, really, people, you need to go back to last season's playoffs. Like, they would have lost to Indiana much faster if he didn't have that one, that tremendous fourth quarter. He had some games where he carried the team, and he has plenty of games where he does things like that. You definitely can win with a player like that. He's been in the conference finals the past two seasons, once in the East, once in the West.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's stop with this bullshit narrative surrounding Karl Anthony Towns that you can't win with him or you can't win a championship with him or he's not good enough. We talked about this many times. After Jokic, he's probably the most talented offensive big man in the league.
Period.
I don't think it's very hard to argue that point.
Period.
There's guys who are pretty good, like Shagun's good, and there's plenty of guys out there who are good offensive players. But I don't understand why Knicks fans and people who cover this team look at certain guys and just get a narrative in their head and they stick with it. And it just doesn't matter what they do or how well they play. Like certain guys are just gonna are never gonna live that specific label down.
Mm-hmm.
He could win a championship this year, and if he doesn't average 30 and 12 in the finals, and they will still say they won in spite of him.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. And again, I think you touched on this last year. It's probably his mannerisms. Like we talked about this last year with him. It's probably the quote unquote zesty label he has. I think that does seep into a lot of the critique of him.
Yeah, no, it does.
I don't care. Like you could be wearing pink camisoles and I don't care. If you can play ball the way he plays ball on most nights, please get me more guys like him.
I always laugh at this when people talk about. I know it's actuality is what they're kind of hinting at or whatever.
Right.
One, he's got a nice looking woman, so
he does.
I'll just need to sit down with her. But needless to say, even past that, I always tell people when they start judging people by what they believe their preference is, that's still a man there. Go run up on him. That's all I'm just saying. What makes you think, as I always like I told somebody, just because I got on slides, that don't make it sweet if you're going to run up on me. And that's the same thing I'm saying about Karl Anthony Towns. I don't care how much he bats his eyelashes. I don't care how he puts his on his words and oh my gosh or whatever y'all want to tease. Run up on him then. This dude is 7 foot tall, about almost damn near 300 something pounds, probably. Go run up on him if you think he's soft, because that's what I always get. You always get these labels of you're sitting behind these cameras with these thumbs and these people are chirping. You're not going to run in his face. You're not going to run up on him.
No.
Let's just keep it a buck. You're not going to run up on this dude, so stop with the soft thing. You saw him. You're going to ask for an autograph is what you're going to really do, and hope you don't get ignored by him because you're not running up on him because everybody who thinks they're tough, trust there's always somebody tougher. Mike Tyson got knocked out. That's all you need to know about life. If he got knocked out, you can get knocked out too. So don't go around. Nobody thought Buster Douglas was probably a thug in waiting until he dropped Mike like a cold sack. Come on, let's keep it a buck. Towns is not that dude that you think he is because he has a way of talking or his mannerisms, whatever you want to talk about. Which I'm like, why are you guys concentrating that much on it? That's like the last thing I would care about. Can you hoop? That's all I want to know. Can you hoop? And are you bringing it every night? If he shows me that, I don't care what his lifestyle is. I don't care if he wears pink, purple. I don't care if he looks like the little pinstripe gum they used to have back in the day. What is it? I forgot what it is with the
fruit stripe.
I don't care if he wears a whole fruit stripe outfit. If you give me 25 and 15, look, I'd wrap you in aluminum foil for you. That's all I ever want from you. I don't care nothing about all that extra stuff in his communication skills. Who the hell I care about that? Not really my business. That's got nothing to do with me. What you do on the court is my business as a fan and as a consumer of basketball, as a New York Knicks fan. Those things I care the most about. So this whole idea, this guy's putting up great numbers his whole career. It is what it is. That's not by accident in this league. This is a league of the best and the elite from what they say. His numbers don't look that way by him being soft. I'm just sorry. People are going by Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, who's one of the ashiest people I've ever seen in my whole entire life. You want to talk about fake tough? That's really Draymond Green because there's nobody who's going to actually fight in this league. So he knows it and he goes around and he chirps. That's really what it comes down to. He's not getting any resistance, and these guys aren't thugs nowadays. These guys are educated and they're very well mannered and they've been coached up. Different atmosphere. This is not a league of men, of grown men. This is a league of young men that are mature. So it's a little bit different atmosphere. But Don't get that twisted. Nobody's running up on Karl Anthony Towns. He tackled Joel Embiid, and Embiid's bigger than him. So I'm not trying to hear about what you're going to do. What you're going to do, you're going to sit down. That's all you're going to do. But he's got
Yeah.
that, and people are just running with it. I never understand it.
Yeah, and I don't like. There's always a narrative that some guys won't come to New York because of the narrative, like the media, the way the media reacts, or the way the media reacts when players are playing well. And there's something to be said of having thick skin and being able to do that. He grew up here, like he knows he grew up in this area, so he knows what the media brings. And you hear him in interviews; he's always respectful. He never is never disrespectful. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to play that game with
Yeah.
the media. He's not an idiot. But I mean, there's something to be said about it when, again, I wouldn't care, but I grew up here. Like, I know how the New York media is. So if I was an athlete and I came here, I have a bad couple of games and everyone's shitting on me, I'm like, that's just the New York media. That's what they do. Move on. But the other guys out there who hear this, and I swear this is one of the reasons why LeBron never came here, because he knew that if he didn't win here, the story would just be forget it. Like,
Oh,
please, he would be buried. So certain guys, like, and no one would ever say this stuff about LeBron. No one ever would call LeBron zesty or anything like that. No matter what he did, no one would ever say that about him.
no.
So it's just really surprising to me how, and I understand you want to get clicks, views, people listening to you on the radio, watching you on TV. I get all of that. That's part of the media business, and that's what they have to sell. But in my opinion, if you're going to do that and then complain, well, players don't want to come here anymore, then you're one of the reasons why. Like you're one of if you're keeping doing this, is like you said, this is a different animal now. These are different types of guys. They're brought up in a different era,
Yeah.
and they don't take well to people picking on them when they haven't played the game or don't understand really the game. They're just fans screaming on radio. And like Kevin Durant's a perfect example. You read his Twitter account, every time someone says something, he's like, "Have you ever played? Have you ever played basketball at NBA?" Like these guys will come at you with this, and it's a fair question. Like it is, but it just really always shocks me and surprises me that these guys continue to do this stuff. And again, Towns grew up here, so he's probably just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But if there's ever a player that doesn't come here and they say, yeah, I just don't like New York, think about it a little harder because that's probably what they mean. That's probably what they're talking about.
Well, Julius is one of the greatest examples of a player who came here, who desired to obviously be here. His tenure basically, whether he wasn't, I don't know if he's admitted it fully, but his marijuana usage went up as a Knick. This dude completely, he was seeing more ghosts than Patrick Swayze. Literally, this dude and Julius is a nice dude. You can tell he's just probably a good dude. He's a family guy. And his wife and him got beautiful kids. So I'm not knocking ever him as a man.
Sure.
But you could see his wife was defending him against podcasts. I mean, if you want to see what it is, believing that certain podcasts, basically zeroed in on her husband and created this animosity in the fan base by highlighting all the things that he did that was erroneous. I don't think that it's the podcast's fault. It's just what New Yorkers tend to do with players. When the expectations are high and you're the main person, this is what they do. It's part of they booed Derek Jeter. I would say that if you booed Derek Jeter, everybody's going to get booed in New York. It's just what it is. But needless to say, he was a guy who actually came here, wanting to come here, wanting to prove something, wanting to be the star in New York. Granted, it did not work out well for him with his playoffs. I've been highly critical of him as a player sometimes because of the mindset that he usually approached the game with. And I think it was fair game to talk about your mental approach to the game. And maybe that wasn't in your bag and you were asked to do more than you were capable of. But needless to say, the strain of New York is a real thing because when you look at him saying he's had mood swings, marijuana, from what they say, I've never smoked, so I couldn't even attest to this, but they said it's supposed to mellow you out and you rob your refrigerator. Oh, with Julius, it made him angry. He had that incredible Hulk marijuana, I guess, because he got angrier and angrier. It's hard to deal with. He's lashing out. He needed a therapist. I'm like, I've never seen a weed smoker know how to spell therapist, let alone want it on. And you're watching the weight of what it is, and it's the fan base. When you're talking about bringing in guys like Giannis, who I think he's a good fit work ethic wise in New York, but he's also a person that doesn't take well to the media when he's questioned about stuff.
True.
And you want to come here, or fans are begging him to come here. Imagine him with someone criticizing his game and how much animosity he usually exhibits when someone dares question him or ask him questions that he thinks is rude or whatever. He's going to lash out. Not just fans running up on him in the street saying, hey, whatever. Meanwhile, a guy like Cat is like finding all his Averex jackets. He's got his Timberlands on. He's got his hat cocked back. He's like, I'm in New York. What? And not everybody's good with that.
Sure.
Melo was good with that. Melo's another one, was good with it. Look, I'm from you. What are you going to tell me? This doesn't bother me. I know what you're going to say already. So be careful, New York fans, when you ask for, because when you can get a star that, well, obviously he was traded here, but needless to say that can perform here, he's still getting 25 points a game or 20 plus and 10 plus boards. You can't get that production from any other player coming to this team easily. So be appreciative of what you have with Karl-Anthony Towns. No matter what you critique of him, he's still producing.
100%. 100%. So we're almost at time, guys, but I wanted to talk about something because it's been in the media recently, and it's a player that you and I have both loved in the past, and has had some interesting off-the-court stuff happen, and now, of course, it's happening again. So I have a little sidebar conversation here.
I'm glad you in here. Go on. All right,
let's play hypotheticals right now. Would you trade for John Morant?
Who are you trading? That's the key thing. So
just in general, any team in the NBA. I'm not just talking about the Knicks. Any team in the NBA. About them right now. Would you trade for John Morant?
I don't think so. Eric, I was a Ja Morant.
Yes, I know.
College, and I said, do you want to pick the number one guy? That was my number one pick. I was hoping the Knicks would get the second pick because I'm like, they're going to take Zion in New Orleans. If the Knicks get the second pick, you better go get you the point guard that you've never had in 50 years, literally.
Agreed.
And let him rock out because he was a talent, man, between the high flying and the competitiveness. And now we got to the Yosemite Sam version of John Morant, who we all know if you're a cartoon, if you're a fan of cartoons back then. Yosemite Sam was rugged and rough, and he shot up the place, and you never knew where the bullets was going to fly. And he had anger issues. So we know now he's become that instead of a great basketball player. It's like your off court has gone on court because you've even done the fake shotgun blast towards other teams' benches. And now, on top of it, you're not playing the best basketball. You've fallen off talent-wise. I don't know if he's worth the risk anymore. Not because I don't think that he can play. It's just, does what he have outweigh, does the talent outweigh the circumstances? Because the circumstances is always, you don't know what's going to happen in the offseason or during the season with him that may get him suspended for something that's non-basketball related. And that can lose a GM a job or his career. And you may be stuck with a high-profile athlete that may never get it, may never grow up. And you got his father. No offense to his father, but the immaturity leaked from his dad, clearly, because he goes and gets kicked out of games more than his son.
I know. Yeah, when I was posing the question, because I was thinking about it myself, I'm like, would I trade for John Morant? Like, the talent, of course, is undeniable, right? Like, he is a tremendous talent. Even after the injuries, dude, and while he's a scoring point guard, he's also a very good passing point guard. Like, he checks off all those boxes.
Yeah.
So just on a talent standpoint, you'd be crazy not to, right? You'd be
Yeah.
crazy not to bring someone like him. The whole athletic package, he's a high flyer, he could dunk, he's worked on his shot, excellent player, smart on the court, good basketball IQ, all the things you love in a point guard in today's NBA, all the things you would say, this is what you want, he fits. But it is extremely hard, to your point, like you said, it's extremely hard to look past all of the other things that we have come out about him. Not just the off the court stuff, but now the on the court stuff and the stuff that's been going on with the coaches in Memphis. And if you believe what people said, he got what's his name fired. The previous coach we love. I'm forgetting his name right now. We wanted to coach the Knicks.
Taylor Jenkins. Taylor
Yeah,
Jenkins.
Taylor Jenkins. If you believe the stories, that's why Jenkins got fired. Like there's a lot of stuff surrounding him
Yeah.
that makes you have to back away. And I don't know, outside of a few teams who like need an infusion of something, like I could see, and they came up, and I'm like, you know what? I could see that. I could see Brooklyn trading for him
They need
because they just need someone to get people to come watch the games. And if you think about Brooklyn, the city, or technically the fourth largest city, so I call it a city of its own. If you think about that, and people going and watching and finally having someone exciting to go watch there, for a team like that, it might not be a terrible move. Now, I don't know if you'd want to bring him to Brooklyn, but again, like it's such a difficult.
You can't go to Gun Hill Road anywhere in New York.
Yeah, I mean the gun laws in New York are very, very strict. So this would, yeah. So this would not be a thing where he could like do what he did there and not see jail time. He would see jail time if he did those other things here in New York and got caught. So it's such an interesting question because there's always going to be that one team and coach and front office that says, "Oh, we could fix them, we could change it," right? Like everyone thinks that. Get them in a good environment, get them in around a bunch of good guys. We'll be able to harness him, get him under control, and get him focused on basketball. And
I got a trade scenario that would work for these two franchises.
Okay.
I just thought about it just now. If you traded him for LaMelo Ball, that would work for both of those teams because LaMelo should be out of Charlotte. They're not going anywhere. He probably would fit better in Memphis. I mean, granted, he's kind of weird with sometimes how he plays. They both have superstar talent. They're both talented guys. No one has just gotten them to play winning basketball enough that you don't get the distractions of the off the court. That would work for. And Charlotte definitely needs somebody like Ja Morant just to bring people in there and feel like they got a chance of winning something. So, be an easy swap of talent.
That's true. That one actually on a basketball level, that one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That one would make a lot of sense because you're just essentially swapping elite point guards to get them in different situations to see if that can work in the new situation. So that one makes a lot of sense. I can't think of another one. Sacramento keeps coming up for people I see.
Yeah, I heard about people saying that. People have also mentioned, which I would almost like, just for the car crashing that it would be. People have mentioned New Orleans too. So I'm like,
oh come on, there is no way.
You and Zion, who were former teammates, mind you, in high school.
Yeah, I know.
On the same NBA team, Lord have mercy, the beignets will be burning in New Orleans. That would just be a nightmare. I mean, I'm here for the train wreck. No longer somebody dies in a train wreck. I'm here for a good train wreck because that is a train wreck.
As long as it's not the Knicks, yeah. Like and
then what kills is when you think about this. Asked me this 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, hell yeah! Why would you?
Yeah, me too, of course.
Now it's like, wow, the tables have turned so different with this guy.
I know, and we've said this in the past, but who during that draft, when the first 3 picks came out, would ever think that RJ Barrett would be the most stable one? The guy, I mean, he's had injury issues, but still, he's probably played more than both of them.
Yep.
So, and now he's like a 22-6 guy, and giving you who no one ever would have thought that at that point
No,
when that draft happened.
no.
So it's
The
such an
safest,
interesting thought.
he was the
Um,
safest. He was the safest pro pick for that whole draft. And I mean, Garland is good. Hunter's
yeah,
good. Don't get me wrong.
right.
But you're talking about guys you can maybe build a little bit of your franchise around. R.J. Barrett is crazy enough. I guess Scott Perry knew what he was talking about because he said take R.J. over everyone. So I
I
mean,
know, I know. It's oh man, it bothers me. It does bother me with what's happening with Morant. I mean, Zion to me is just he has a body that just doesn't lend well to professional sports. Like he's a tremendous athlete, but you can't. Yeah, his body type and everything. Like we said, he looks at a croissant. He gains 20 pounds. Like he's that kind of guy. He literally has to probably stay away and have his nutritionist at all times because he hurt his hamstring again. He's going to be out again for I think a week or 10 days or something like that. I saw.
10 days, I think it is. Which that'll
So,
be longer than even that.
right, like it always starts out like that, and then it turns out, oh, it's worse than we thought. And then you see a picture of him, and he already gained like 5 pounds. Then,
And this is
and
this
then
is the best shape he's ever come in.
I know,
Isn't
I
that
know.
New Orleans? Man, I feel bad for that franchise because you guys are never getting anywhere.
I agree. I agree. Well, I'm glad now. Looking back, I'm glad we didn't take him. That way.
RJ, shout out to RJ Barrett. You was at
Shout
least
out to-
you
yeah.
was a pros pro when you came in. Thank God.
Yeah, and I'm going to Toronto the week after Christmas, and I'm thinking of going to a Raptors game when I'm there.
That's
So
good.
I'm
That's
hoping
gotta
I
be
get to see him
cool.
play.
It's like a little Nick reunion when you go there because some of our guys are still there. I still look at them. I mean, I know they're not playing. I would love that RJ is still here. Maybe one day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way, but and I've been hard on OG, but he's definitely fit and been worth the trade. Yeah,
It's the weirdest thing, you and I discussed. I was like, why is OG fitting so well? It's like I've never seen this happen, but
I know.
it's a fair
But,
trade for both teams, to be honest. It worked
and we're
out.
not even talking about him because he's been playing so well. So there's nothing to really say. Like
It's
he's
like
doing what we want him to do. So,
might be the most consistent Nick, which is kind of scary.
he has been. Yeah, he has been. He has been. Good call. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here so you guys can go watch the game. 7:30 now on our clock, so it's probably 7:30 on yours as well. And that means the tip off is probably about 10 minutes away. So we're gonna get out of here, let you guys go watch, and watch the Knicks take on the Timberwolves. Let's hope we get another win, another home win. Again, we're in the midst of a 7-game homestand, so we really need to rack up some wins in this. It's our longest homestand of the year. Let's rack up those wins. Let's get some space, put ourselves in top of the division and hopefully, ride it out from there and see what happens in come playoff time. But now, like I said, we're going to let you go. So I want to thank you again, all of you, for watching us, giving us an hour of your day. Hopefully we entertained you a little bit and we gave you some food for thought. So if any of you watched and you want to chime in on John Morant, go to our Facebook page and let us know there. Say, hey, I'll trade him and give us a good reason. Give us a good reason why you would trade for him.
Exactly.
All right. Ty, you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, let's just go Knicks. Let's go beat up these wolves, these little kitty wolves. That's what we need to beat up. Let's go Knicks.
I'm with you there. So for Ty, I'm Eric. You're watching All Knicked Up, and we will see you next time.